All right. I want to welcome you all to the AngelMD Marketing Masterclass sponsored by Halo Creative Labs. I'm Katie Richardson. I'm a pediatrician by background, and I'm working with AngelMD on our clinician community. So thank you for taking your time out of your busy days to join us today. I saw a hello from Dan Jacobson, and if the rest of you could follow suit, please put in the chat your name, your specialty, and where you're joining us from. We would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our agenda today. So we have two speakers slotted for today. And again, we're focusing this masterclass series on marketing, I would say tips and resources, how you can do the best job telling your story and getting your name out there. We all know that it's a difficult time right now as we're all weathering the kind of COVID-19 pandemic. And so again, thanks for joining us today, and we are excited to have all of you. So we're going to hear from Dave Farmer first, part of the Halo Creative team, and then Dr. Gregory Buford will be our second speaker today. So again, thanks for joining us. Tobin, do you want to chime in with some kind of Zoom tips and a poll to start us off?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Richardson. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have some fun today. And as she mentioned, over the last month, we've heard from a lot of members of our community who've been sidelined, who are thinking about their practices. At some point, quarantines will start to lift, and we thought, this is in our wheelhouse. We've got a lot of resources. We've got a lot of experts in our network, and starting with our own Dave Farmer, we want to create value for you as physicians and dentists in our network. So we're excited to have you here. Just a couple logistics. You've seen the chat panel. As Katie mentioned, go ahead and introduce yourself just as an exercise to use the chat panel. Use that at any time. If you've got questions, we'll hold questions till the end. We want to be respectful of your time. We will end at the half hour. I'm going to shoot a poll up real quick, just a first poll, just to play around with the function. You should see this come through. A couple quick questions. If you have a second, answer those. We'll throw a poll up at the end. And most of you, if not all of you, have been added to the Slack channel that we created on the AngelMD community site. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, you should have an invitation waiting in your email. And our goal was to create conversation. We've got a lot of folks in this group who've registered, and more to come, who are, a whole range. People who are experts at marketing, people who are kind of novices, and everything in between. But one of the goals of our network is to be a group of lifelong learners, and we can all learn from one another. And so we're very fortunate to have Dr. Buford with us today. Thanks for joining us. And he's got a lot of experience he's going to share. But one of the things I really enjoy about talking with Greg over time is he is also always looking for ideas on how to optimize. And so this is going to be a fun group. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dave. I'll just give you the quick results of our poll so far. First question was, has your practice been closed due to quarantine or working at partial speed? For, it looks like just over half of you no, and for about half of you yes. Have you spent time over the last month working your business plan, marketing strategies, and so forth? Again, kind of half and half. Are you active on social media? Almost the flip. So about half for each of these. And so we want to have some fun today. And last, as I turn it back over to Dave, I just want to introduce Mike Raymer, who's joined us. You can see him there on the screen. Mike is our Chief Strategy Officer. And if you haven't seen, he launched a very cool nonprofit in the last couple of weeks to help with ventilator shortages. You can learn more about that at co/vents or -vents.org. All right, Dave, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Tobin. As Tobin mentioned, I'm the executive director for Halo Creative Labs, and over the last few weeks, it's been very interesting for us. The conversations we're having with clients, the observations we're making. We've learned a lot in this crisis. I'm going to share just a few of those learnings with you. And I'm going to share my screen here. I did pre-record this just a few minutes ago because I'm trying to do some work with slides and whatever that Zoom doesn't necessarily allow for. So play this presentation for you, and then after Dr. Buford speaks, we'll have a little QA at the end. So let's see if I can get this going for you. Well, I'm excited to be talking with all of you on some marketing tactics, communications tactics that you can employ during this crisis. I know this is going to be a great series, this webinar series. Lots of really qualified folks to be talking with you over the coming weeks. And for Halo Creative Labs, we've had a number of conversations over the last few weeks that we never thought we'd have, but strategic emergency conversations on what our clients can do to help bolster their business during this crazy time. From messaging to digital marketing to how do we change our website, how do we put out an email campaign, whatever it might be. These conversations have varied from completely panicked to the other end of the spectrum, which is some personalities, they look at this as a fantastic opportunity to reach their patients or their clients in unique ways. So, and then of course everything in between. But we've observed probably three trends in these conversations, three things that have come out of these various conversations. Also just observing other businesses. What are they doing to handle this crisis, and how are they communicating to their customers or their patients? But throughout all of that observation and conversations that we've had, three things have kind of come to the surface. And I want to kind of talk to you about those today in this presentation. I'm calling it Downtime Strategies for Uptime Success. What to do when there's not much to do. But the reality is there's plenty to do, plenty that you should be doing in this crisis. Things that you should be doing to connect with your patients, even though you're not able to see them in the office. Help communicate your brand values to your patients in unique ways, refreshing ways. All right. So three things that we've observed and that I'll relay to you here. The first is, that your clinic needs to be visible. And of the three things that we're going to talk about, this is the most basic, right? And you probably have checked this box in some way over the last couple of weeks, but you need to be visible as a clinic. So what do we mean by that? Well, of course, we mean email. And we mean social media tools that you probably have neglected over the last few years. It's amazing to me. I mean, there's, emails is easy, but social media for some reason is still intimidating to folks. And the reality is this is an amazing free mechanism to reach your patients in very personal ways. And of course, then there's your website. And in your blog, perhaps, and how you're using that to communicate to your patients. So email, I mean, I'm sure we all remember a few weeks ago when every single business that we ever did business with in our entire lives put out an email to us about how they're handling the COVID crisis. I mean, everybody from the vet down the street to the shoe repair shop to airlines, grocery store, everybody put out an email, and it became this joke, right? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't need to hear from you, but thanks. But the reality is you do need to put out an email. You do need to communicate to your patients, especially in your line of work. You need to communicate to your patients how you are handling this crisis, what they can expect from your clinic and from you as a practitioner. And here's an example: Lone Tree Family Dentistry here in Colorado. They put out what I thought was a great email. We won't read it here, but a lot of emails actually got snarky. They were mad that their practice was deemed non-essential, and there was some anger. And I thought these guys did a great job of being very positive. But it was a simple email. 2-3 paragraphs. That's it. Okay, thank you. I know that you're open for emergency dental care. It was just nice to hear from them. On the social media side, of course, and this is Southwest Airlines, who does, I think we all agree, Southwest does a remarkable job with their marketing. But here they're using Instagram and, of course, FaceTime and Twitter to just put out inspiring messages, inspirational messages that just say, hey, look, we recognize the gravity of the situation. We're just going to we're going to step back and look at the bigger picture here. But they've done a great job with their marketing, and that's social media. And I'm sure you all have seen a lot of great examples there. And then of course on the web, and this is American Airlines, and this is a funny story, which I'll relay here for a second. We were traveling to Hawaii, my family and I, early March, and all of a sudden we got, in the midst of this crisis really came to fruition. We started getting emails. We got emails from, I think it was Delta Airlines, sent out an email. It was just a text email, but it was like, here's how we're handling the crisis. Literally an hour later, American sends out almost a copycat email. And then it was like that wasn't good enough. So they sent out, American Airlines sent out another email just a couple of hours after that, and it had a video message. And it was more like, we need to actually be in front of you with our CEO and have a video. Well, then a couple hours later, Delta copied that and did their own video email, and Southwest did the same, and United did the same. And then Southwest said, hey, we're going to take this to the next level. We're going to take a video crew into our airplanes. We're going to show people how we're cleaning our airplanes. And well, then American copied that, and then United copied that. And it just became this one-upmanship through an email campaign from all these airlines, and just kind of funny. But I get it. I think people are realizing that just a plain text email probably not going to cut it in this scenario. Like, we need to hear from the leadership at these companies. We need to be reassured that things are going to be okay, that our planes are going to be clean or whatever. But that's it was kind of I don't want to say it was a funny moment, but it was an interesting moment there. You having done just countless email campaigns to see competitors, copying each other. But here's an interesting one for this audience specifically. You with your practice likely have the ability to text your patients. To date, you probably only texted them appointment reminders, right? But you have their phone number. You have the ability to send out an SMS to your patients. How cool would it be if, at least, what I think, if I got a message from a doc or dentist or somebody who I've trusted with my healthcare for years, and it was a text that came over, not an email, not social media, not something I had to go find on the web, but an actual text that said, hey, Dave, I'm just thinking of you. We want you to know we're here for you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Dr. So-and-so would love to answer your questions, whatever. That would be cool. And uniquely, I think, you as a clinic have that ability over other businesses. Other businesses do not have permission to do that. You do. The other thing that I would say is snail mail. Good old lovely physical mail that shows up in a mailbox. Everybody's at home. They're on the web reading news nonstop. To walk down to the mailbox, and of course everybody's looking for an excuse to get out of the house, but you go down the mailbox, and if you had like a little flyer or a postcard that came from your practice and it was just a nice note, that physical mailer is going to stick out. It's going to stand out amongst all the other noise that's happening. So just something to think about. And by the way, companies like 48hourprint.com, who does great work, nice cheap work, really, they could very quickly, within a couple of days, have those flyers printed for you. And of course, Halo Creative Labs would love to work with you on designing that and creating that message. So just something to think about. The text and the mail, those are pretty unique. Haven't seen much done in that space. Certainly a ton of emails, lots of social media and website work. All right, moving on to point number 2. Being accessible. Now, this is different than being visible. Being accessible means that you are putting mechanisms in place that allow patients to access you, to talk with you directly or to your staff directly. And, just to drive this point forward, we are all familiar with Zoom. Love it or hate it, we're familiar with Zoom. We've used FaceTime, we've used Skype. But in the last couple of weeks, we've helped clients take it a step further. And I'll show you a couple of examples of that. Let me switch over to Safari here. So my wife here in Colorado, she works for CCRM. This is Dr. Schoolcraft. He's a well-regarded fertility doctor, and his practice, they've got 12 locations nationwide, but his practice very quickly put up their standard alert on their website. which all of you should have done. If you haven't, of course, we'll help you with that. But that went up very quickly. But they took it a step further. They, within days of having to shut down their practice, at least here in Colorado because of the stay-at-home order and the non-essential tag that they'd been plastered with, they put telehealth in place. They put a telehealth platform in place, and they launched this webpage where you, as a new patient, if you're struggling with fertility, you can come here, read a little note. Here's the kind of the engagement expectations, just to kind of give you a heads up on that. Little video they produced, a little presentation, PowerPoint presentation on what to expect, and then make an appointment today, book online button here, and you can get started with this group virtually through telehealth. I thought that was a really quick turnaround for them and really smart. But they went even further, and this is what I love. So they had some great archival video presentations, essentially, that help patients understand what they're about to go through and tactics and treatments that are going to help them. But they put together what they're calling CCRM TV. I don't necessarily like that name, but it's a page that is just, as you scroll down here, just videos that they've shot in the last couple of weeks from Dr. Schoolcraft, from other doctors, physicians that are involved in this organization. But this whole page is dedicated to videos that help educate their new clients. And really, I think, a fantastic way to allow for some access to the knowledge and expertise that exists within this practice. But these guys have hundreds of staff to be able to pull this off in short order. What if you're just a one-man shop? We've got clients that just one person, small staff. And here's a great example of something that we, Halo Creative Labs, turned on in less than 90 minutes for Dr. Richards, a dermatologist out in Los Angeles, out in California, called me early to mid-March and said, hey, California is about to go on lockdown. I need to put a note on my website that states that we're not going to be able to take patients. And I said, well, we could put a note up there, but why don't we do a video? Grab your iPhone, take a quick video of yourself, and just do a 1-minute message to your patients. Furthermore, on your homepage, not only are we going to put that video, but let's put a book now button. Let's allow patients to very quickly book a 15 or 30-minute or 45-minute consult with you or somebody on your staff. And furthermore, we can accept payment for that consultation right in this little app. So here you see this little pop-up that we put in place. We're using an app called Appointment, and it's like Calendly. There's a couple of apps out there that do the same thing, but Appointment was very easy to spin up. But let's say I wanted a 30-minute consultation. I click on that. I can see, oh, here on Wednesday, booked in the morning, but I'll take the 1 p.m. You put in your information. You review that, you complete the booking, and you go here and you can pay via credit card. So you put your name in, number in, and you pay. And Dr. Richards and her staff see that an appointment's been scheduled on their calendar, and they use these tools: Zoom, FaceTime, Skype. I think they use Google Meets as well. Whatever their clientele wants to use, they'll use that, and they'll be able to do, to the best of their ability, a virtual appointment with these folks. So. Well, one more thing on accessibility. Let me just put a shout out to an AngelMD startup, Hippo Health. Hippo Health is a telemedicine or telehealth platform that allows you very easily to connect with your patients, and it's something you should check out if you're looking to do some telehealth or need a platform for that. Hippohealth.com. These guys have just been killing it the last few weeks, as you can imagine. Really well positioned to help out in this crisis. So hippohealth.com might be a good solution for you. All right. Final thing, and I know I'm over time here, so let me quickly go through this. But your clinic needs to be not just visible, not just accessible, but you need to show empathy. You need to be empathetic to the situation. I'm sure all of you, being in healthcare, are good at that, but let me define that just a bit more for you. What do I mean by being empathetic? Well, you need to, and I'll show you some examples here, but you need to kind of let your hair down. Show your patients who you are as a human, not the business person or the doctor, but as a human that's going through this struggle right alongside the patients. Telling your story a little bit in a more personal way. I think is going to go a long way with your patients. So let me give you a couple of examples, and I've got some thoughts on what you might be able to do in terms of being able to showcase some empathy from your practice to your patients. You guys have heard about most of these, I'm sure, in the news, but AT&T, they realized everybody's staying home. What did they do? They just did away with broadband data caps. So, if you have a 20 gigabyte a month data cap, AT&T said, we're not going to charge you for overages. Just use the data that you need. A really cool move. And of course, Verizon and T-Mobile, they all followed suit very, very soon after that. HBO, they gave all their programming away for free during this crisis. Cool move from them. Adobe, they realized that university students were going home. High school students were going home. They weren't going to have access to labs. They have given away their chief product, Creative Cloud, Photoshop, Illustrator, and Design, all those programs, giving them away for free to students and teachers. And they said, look, just we know what you're going through. Have access at home to our stuff for free. Really cool move. People are going to remember this. Probably my wife's favorite moment of empathy from a large organization is Disney. They shared their famous Dole Whip recipe to the world, closely guarded secret for years, decades really. And we of course made it at home. And I mean, come on, it's just pineapple ice cream, but it's pretty good. McDonald's put out their Egg McMuffin recipe, which I think is hilarious. And then this one, my daughter's a student at USC. Tobin is a Trojan and did grad work there as well. But USC had put out on social media, they put out a video from their president. And it was exactly what you'd expect from the president. They followed that up with a video from Will Ferrell, who's quarantined right now. And let me just show you what this looked like. Just a few seconds.
Hey, Trojan students, it's Will Ferrell. Just want to check in on you.
So, this 2-minute video where he is just, he's not even necessarily being funny. I mean, he has some humor in there, as you would expect from Will Ferrell, but he's just trying to connect with, his alumni, if you will. And, just a fun video that showed up on USC's social platforms and really great response to this. And I have a feeling they're going to be doing a number of these videos with various famous alumni for students. And
in fact, I want to make a promise to all of you guys that whenever the first day of school happens again, who knows, I might pop in on a few classes with my fake mustache just to welcome you back.
There you get an example of just a fun social media piece that had great response. So I challenge you, and what can you do as a clinic to show empathy in this situation? What can you do? What can you give away in terms of your knowledge or your expertise to your patients? If I'm a dentist, for example, maybe I think it would be pretty fun to see my dentist in her own bathroom teaching me how to floss properly, something simple like that. Or if, maybe if I'm a dentist, I could do a short series of the 10 worst teeth in history, starting with George Washington and his infamous horrible teeth. But that would be, I think, a fun way if I were a dentist to connect with my patients using social and my website and other things to connect with patients. But what can you do to show empathy and to give back to your patients during this time of crisis? If you need some strategic help with that, want to come up with some good ideas, certainly give us a call, drop us an email. We'd love to help you with that. But that's, I realize I'm way over, but those are the 3 points that I'd like to make, from a marketing perspective. What can you be doing as a clinic right now in this downtime to help bolster your business and your brand and get that brand in front of people and help your patients remember you when the crisis passes? I mean, the number one goal in branding is to be memorable. And I think practicing these 3 points will help you be memorable in your patient's eyes. All right. Well, thanks so much. I look forward to hearing from all of you, for various projects that you might have. But thanks for taking the time and, stay safe. All right, guys. Well, thanks for enduring that. And thanks for allowing me to do a video. The slide share mechanism I haven't quite figured out in Zoom yet. But we'll do a Q&A at the end. But I'll pass it back over to Tobin or Katie, and move on to Greg.
Yes, so I would love to introduce Dr. Gregory Buford. Dr. Buford is a highly accomplished plastic surgeon here in the Denver area. He's also an author, a startup investor, an advisor, and a recent graduate of the Physician CEO program at the Kellogg School of Management. He's going to share with us what he is currently working on, and I realize, go ahead, Greg.
So Katie, thanks for the introduction, and Tobin and others, thank you for giving me this platform. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to project the future, which is what we're all trying to do. We're all looking at this, and we're all just basically saying, where are we going to emerge from this? So two things that I'm actively doing is I'm identifying blind spots, and I'm identifying blue ocean. Okay. What am I doing right now that I am missing? Where could I make improvements? And then the blue ocean, are there areas where I can create synergy that none of my competition are actively doing right now? So in other words, we just thought it was a great presentation today. We were talking a little bit about telemedicine, telehealth. Almost immediately, we got our virtual platform up and running. We optimized it. I've already done 3 consults this morning. I've done several more this week. My patients loved it. My second patient this morning was in Las Vegas, Nevada. We get these from all across the United States. Telehealth is here to stay. It is here to stay. And it's something that it's not only efficient and effective in times when we obviously can't practice physically, but also too, down the road for those clients in busy cities, whether it's Denver, LA, New York, what have you, if you can avoid the crosstown drive, if you can afford them waiting in your waiting room, and you can consult with them. Literally my consults this morning were about 15 minutes each. They sent me prep photos. They gave me a questionnaire, so I knew exactly what they wanted to accomplish. And it took me 15 minutes. So, telehealth is a big thing. So, other things, blind spots. I'm looking at staff. I'm looking at, who do I really need? Who can I cut back their hours? And also too, who can I expand upon? I'm looking at bringing on new hires. When all this is said and done, when is all this going to be said and done? I think we'd all agree this is going to be a slow transition. This is not going to be next, Thursday you wake up and the world has returned to normality. My prediction, and I've had Tobin and I've had a lot of conversations about this over coffee. This is going to be an arduous process. The world has forever changed. And those of us who figure out how to move with that, how to roll with the tide, okay, and how to create that blue and create opportunities, create new strategies, those are the things that this time should be done for now. Looking at processes in place, throwing out what doesn't work, keeping what does, and optimizing and incorporating new strategies. So that's probably in a nutshell. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I think we have to take 2 more minutes. That's what I'm doing right now. Just really, I'm popping the hood and looking underneath and seeing everything is functioning, and hopefully it'll be a better, shinier car after. Horrible, sorry, but you get the gist. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Buford. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for your thoughts. We had one question in the chat from Dr. Cochran. He said, I agree it's good to keep connecting and communicating with patients, but what are the high impact content ideas that you have seen? So I'll start with Dave. It seemed like video was a very popular format. Any other ideas on high impact content? And then Greg, we'll let you answer as well.
Yeah, very briefly, the high impact content is video, like I had mentioned, but also anything that smells like marketing in this era that we're in right now is going to be shunned. They want to see real. They want to see personality, and that needs to come across in whatever message you're putting out there. I think they're going to react to that in a positive way.
I agree 100% with you, Dave. Right now, video is important. Show people that you're a human. Show people that you're actually going through the same issues that they're going through. People don't want, they don't want to see these videos where you're sitting in a fancy house, having a cocktail saying, oh, this isn't a big deal. This isn't a big deal. The person that's watching you just lost their job. They're trying to how to figure out, how to support a family. So as you point out, Dave, and I agree with you 100%, be empathetic, but be human, show them that side of you. That's not just a business person. It's the caring individual. It's the person that, that they want to seek out as their physician, as their dentist. Be human. And in video, words, I'm sorry, copy is dead. I like copy, but I think it's okay. Photos are a little bit better. Video, nothing beats video. Nothing beats it.
All right. Thank you both, not only for your presentations, but also for answering that question. As I mentioned, we will continue our conversation, hopefully very rich, on our AngelMD community Slack channel. If you haven't accepted the invite, please do so. I want to give a big thanks to Halo Creative Labs for sponsoring this program today. And as part of their sponsorship, they're offering a free 30-minute brainstorming session to any physician who wants or dentist who wants a sounding board to take inventory of their marketing strategy and determine if there are ways to further optimize. If you want to take them up on this offer, please email Dave at halocreativelabs.com. I want to give one reminder that we are having, this is a series, and so please join us for next week's. So please join us for next week's AngelMD Marketing Masterclass with Social SEO. They'll be talking about search engine optimization and more on social media.
But thanks a ton for joining us, and thank you, Dr. Buford, for spending your time and getting this kicked off. As Katie mentioned, we not only have Social SEO joining us next week, but we have Dr. Brian Richardson, who is a very successful and knowledgeable dentist in the Denver market. He's an entrepreneur, and it'll be great to hear from him. We've also got a crisis management speaker lined up, and Dr. Jason Posner in two more sessions down the road, who is a very successful plastic surgeon in the Florida market. So some really good folks lined up over the next couple of weeks. But